Hi, so this is my first video that I'm starting in a series of how-tos. This video is going to be about how to become a CNA. Along the journey of you guys following me, you're going to see a lot of different things. I have a lot of different areas that I've worked in and that I currently work in, whether or not it's being a business owner, being in real estate, being in the healthcare field, being an author. In addition to that, how to live a healthier, happier life. So I have a couple notes here. I'm going to be looking down, but I just wanted to first start off by introducing myself. My name is Selena Womack. I have my doctorate as a nurse practitioner. I am a mother. I love hanging with friends and family. I love traveling. So this video is really going to be a lot of how-tos on different areas of my life, and also I'm willing to do some research on how to help you to explore different areas of your life, and we can do that together. Okay, so this first video is actually going to be about how to become a CNA. I chose this one because I was a CNA after I graduated high school. During high school, I had honors, so I thought I was a pretty smart kid. At least the school system said that I was. Sorry, the light just changed. I think that a cloud just, anyways. Um, but I got out of high school, and unfortunately, my family really didn't know how to teach me how to um, just what to do next after high school. And so when I finished, I knew that I wanted to be in nursing because my parents were in nursing. My mom was in nursing, my dad was in nursing, my aunts, they were in nursing. My grandmother had worked in the hospital system for over 20 years as a as kind of like a janitor. So I was very familiar with that. I actually used to go to work with my mom as a kid to help push patients to the dining room or to help to feed them. So I had a pretty strong nursing base just as a kid, even then. So when I got out of school, I knew immediately that I was going to be in healthcare. The first thing I did was I called the local college because I knew that they had a CNA program. So I'm going to tell you some ways on how to get that started. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to find out in your local community who is actually holding the programs. That could be a VOTEC college, that's called a vocational college. It could be a local community college or a state college. They also have them online, but those are more of your prep programs. Those programs tend to be maybe 1 week programs, whereas normal CNA classes can last between 6 to 12 weeks. Normally it's around 6 to 8 weeks, but if it's more of like a college, then it might be even longer. My journey was my program was 6 weeks long. It was 6 to 8 weeks long. It's been 20 years ago, so that's a long time ago. Um, but I went in first. The first part of it is you're going to learn the written part. That's when you learn the book work. And then the second part of it, you learn the skills. That's when you actually learn your ADLs. That's activities of daily living. How do you help someone to bathe, to feed, to put their clothes on, to transfer out of a wheelchair? How do you wash your hands? How do you introduce yourself? So there are a lot of different components to that. In addition to that, you will do, if you're in an actual program or in not just the online prep class, you'll go to a nursing home or a clinic or a hospital so that you can learn how to actually get hands-on to be able to learn those skills that you've learned. I live in Florida, and so in Florida, you actually do have to take a state test to get your certification. It's a two-part test. The first one is the written part. That's kind of where you actually take the exam, and then the other part is the actual hands-on physical part where someone's watching you um, bathe someone. Pretend you introduce yourself. Hi, my name is Selena. I'm going to be giving you a bath today. Or, hi, my name's Selena. I'm going to help you get dressed, or something like that. So it can be very intimidating whenever you're going through that process of having someone to watch you doing these things, because you have to remember, but that's what class is for. That's what it teaches you how to do it. But I promise, if you practice and practice with your family, practice with your friends, because that makes it more comfortable when you actually get to that point. Um, Applying to school can be pretty, it can be a pretty simple process if you just call the school, say, hey, how do I get in? When does class start? So the classes could start every 3 months, they could start twice a year, or they could even just start. I'm sorry, someone's calling me. I'm just gonna get rid of that. Um, or they can start once a year. It just depends on the school. So for the most part, you would apply to the school first. You just call and say, "Hey, when do you start? What do I need to do?" Once you've done that, um, then you fill out the application, and then you apply for financial aid. But keep in mind, you can also apply for grants. Grants are really good because that means they're paying for all of your schooling and you don't have to pay anything. You can do grants, scholarships. Just ask the financial advisor exactly what they have available and they can guide you down that path. I know a lot of people forget to actually ask those questions and they think that they just have to pay for it. So that's another good question. How much does it cost? It depends. If you're going through a fast track program to where they're just teaching you the skills for you to just take the test and pass the test and that's it, then it might be cheaper because they're not investing as much time in you. So it could range between $500 to $1,000. It really just depends on your area, how many schools are available, and how many people too that they're taking in the class, because you can even do online prep courses. So it's not, you don't necessarily have to go to a college or to a vo-tech to be able to become a CNA. Sometimes they might do a background check. If you're in a healthcare field in general, a lot of the times, well, under many instances, you can't have a felony. If you do have a felony, then there are ways to get that off of your record so that you are able to, it's called being expunged, or so you go through this process to where they actually remove that from your record, or they kind of like hide it so that if someone did a background check, then they can kind of like not see that. But it depends on the circumstances. So for instance, if it's a battery, if it's drugs, all of those things play a really big part on whether or not you can actually do that. So for some reason, I was supposed to say that. So that's the background check. If you are, so we talked about paying for, we talked about grants and scholarships, contacting your financial aid advisor. How long is class? So class typically is, if you're going through the traditional classes that last 8 to 12 weeks, then class typically can be between 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning to 2, 3, or 4 in the afternoon. So it's going to be a 6 to 8 hour day. It could be Monday through Friday, or it could be Monday through Thursday. Sometimes they actually have weekend classes or evening classes. It's not as common in my area anymore to do that, but the weekend classes are normally when you're doing like the prep courses, to where you just do a 2-day course to learn the skills part, and to learn some of the written portion. For me, when I went to school, it was right out of high school, so I was still living with my parents. So it was actually a lot easier for me to just, and I had a car, so I was 18, but I could just go to school and I didn't have to worry about, bills and things like that. But if it is something that you have going on, you want to plan for it. So for instance, if they have classes that start in the beginning of the year, but you know that you're not going to be ready financially to take time off of work, or what you can also do is you can change your schedule. You can say, hey, I want to work in the evening, or you only want to work in the weekend. If you have kids, then a lot of the times it's going to be important to get your family on board. If you're a single parent, then you might have to speak to some of your family, if you have, grandparents, friends. Hey, for the next 8 weeks, I'm really going to need your help, so that you can kind of embark on this new journey. I loved being a CNA. I really did. I loved helping people. Obviously, I stayed in the healthcare field. I loved helping people. I loved being able to hear people's stories. I actually worked in the long-term care part of it. So that means I worked in nursing homes, basically. As a CNA, I never worked anywhere else. I always worked in nursing homes, and pretty sure I got that from my parents. I actually worked with my mom in a nursing home and my dad, not at the same time, at two separate facilities, and it was definitely interesting just to, because they were the type of, if anyone is already CNA, my parents were the type, they brought their own, you're not supposed to do this, I don't think, but they brought their own like lotions and hair products and stuff to give patients a bath and to get them smelling all good. They would above and beyond what it was to be a CNA. So some of the working in the nursing facility, I'm going to talk about that specifically, is, so for instance, your day might look like this. You come in the morning and you get report from the other CNA that's leaving. So I worked morning shifts. So say I'm on morning shift. You come in, you get report from the night shift. She says she changed everyone. And this is in the nursing home, so a lot of the patients might not be able to go to the bathroom. They might not be able to walk, so you change them. You do their vital signs. You get them up, you get them dressed, you feed them. Sometimes they might have to be bathed, and that's if it's their day. So when you're in a nursing home, which you might have between 10 to, I hate to say it, but 10 to 12 patients. And not all of those patients are fully dependent, meaning not all of them really need you to do total care, but some of them do. So some of them may have days to where you have to give them a shower, and you have to, basically you have to do for them what they're not able to do for themselves. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Sometimes they can be combative. A few. That's maybe because they have dementia, or they have Alzheimer's, or they've had a stroke and they really don't know what's going on. So it's really important to understand kind of what you're getting into from the nursing home's perspective. Now, I worked in the hospital as a nurse, and the CNAs, or the tech responsibilities, are a little bit different. So the base of it is the same. So you're still providing the activities of daily living, but it could be a lot more fast-paced, meaning the patients might need their blood sugars checked. So that means that they have maybe diabetes, so you have to prick their finger to get their numbers. The patients might need to go down to a test, whether or not it's an x-ray, an ultrasound, so you might have to get them prepared for that. If the patient needs to have EKGs, you might have to shave them to be able to put on the electrodes. That's kind of like the little sticky things to be able to do that. You're really following, and as a CNA, you're underneath the nurse. So you're basically doing the duties that the nurse is needing you to do to help the nurse to follow the doctor's orders to take care of the patient. So you're really taking care of the most basic aspect of the patient's healthcare. I loved it. I only continued just because I was a little insubordinate, which means I actually got fired as a CNA. Don't tell nobody. For insubordination. We're not gonna talk about that. But it wasn't anything bad. It was, well, I guess obviously it was bad. But when you really want to take care of your patients and you want them to have a good experience, you want them, so you really care. If someone comes to you and they question how much you are doing, or whether or not you did something, or something in the way that you were supposed to do, the way that they wanted you to do it, and you always go above and beyond, sometimes you can bump heads, whether or not that's with management, or it's, what it taught me was that I wanted to be in a position to take better care, not from just the most basic standpoint, but I wanted to be able to really change the patient's outcomes. As a CNA, I don't think that you really get to change the patient's outcomes. And what I mean by that is, you can't write orders. You can't do wound care. You can't call the doctor and say, hey doctor, I need this for the patient. So it's really important to understand what your role is. Again, my auntie, who got her CNA straight out of high school, she's been Auntie Kim. She has been a CNA, and she's worked in the same nursing home for over 20 years. She loves it. It is her passion. She's one of those people that brings those extra supplies to make sure her patients smell good and look good. She goes above and beyond. It is her passion. I think that when you're in the healthcare field in any capacity, it's really it's really a passion that you need to have for taking care of others. Um, so we talked about class. We talked about where you can work as a CNA, but not just the nursing home or the hospital. As a CNA, you can work in so many different areas of healthcare. So you can work in the office setting. That is a cardiology office, a dermatology office, that because you can also, the skills of a CNA are somewhat similar to a medical assistant. That's a whole nother video that we'll go into. If you're enjoying this so far, then please like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Obviously, that just lets YouTube know that this is being helpful to you. We talked about bathing, feeding, vitals. In addition to that, so the last part we're going to get into is your state exams. So as a CNA, you are going to have to take state exams. You're going to have the written part, and then you're going to have the skills part. The written part is, what did you learn? Do you know how to do vital signs? Vital signs are basically getting your pulse rate, your heart, well, pulse and heart rate is the same thing, your respiratory rate, knowing how to do a blood pressure check. In addition to that, knowing how to get an oxygen saturation. That's where they just put the little monitor on your finger to see what your oxygen saturation level is. And then, and like I told you, it can definitely be a little bit nerve-wracking whenever you're in that room and you have those people looking at you. But at the end of the day, practice with your family, your friends, and you should be fine, I promise. In addition to being a CNA, oh, how much does it cost? So we talked about that a little bit. It's like I said, it depends on where you are and you know what type of program you actually get into. It could range from $500 to $1,000 or to $2,000. It just depends. All right, that is it. I just wanted to conclude this this video with saying and encouraging you, you can do it. If you just first thing first, call your local Votech, college, any of those things. Just Google it. Say, hey, how do I become a CNA in my area, or CNA classes near me? And then it'll show you. Once you do that, you call them and say, hey, I was wanting to know when your program starts, the next one. If you know that you're not ready, then ask them when is the next one after that, so that you can get your life together. If you need to get ready, so you can save money, so you can change your schedule, so you can find babysitters, things like that. And I promise you, if your family is I'm sure they love you, they want you to be successful. Say, hey, listen, this is the next thing that I'm doing, and I would really like your help to you know, I need your support in helping me to do that. And just make the changes. It's a short amount of time, and it can change your life forever. I used being a CNA to help me to get to my next step of becoming an LPN, which is going to be our next video, how to become an LPN. I'm super excited to allow you to kind of follow my journey of healthcare, and I really enjoyed it, and I'm enjoying being able to show you how to do it. So again, if you enjoyed this video, like it, subscribe so that you can get all of the notifications for my next video, and good luck on your test and your exams. And I would love to hear your experience, so you can always comment, or if you're already a CNA, you can just type in your experience. How was it for you? Let other people see what that looked like for you when you went through your process, so that it may help them. Okay, you guys have a great day.